Right. So welcome everybody again. Today's topic is stability versus happiness. Oftentimes we, society, culture, family, anywhere we come from, always say, for example, oh, you have to get married and have children and have a job and just have a stable life, really. But the question is, we've also seen on the flip side that when they've said that there's been in different cultures, there's been a high rate of divorce. And the question is does stability really equal happiness? Okay. Some people have also argued that, happiness depends on what you see as happy, and happiness could be fleeting, which means that, it could change. But I think the main thing is, does stability mean being happy? So we've also heard of people who seemingly had the perfect life, but then we had, it looks perfect on the outside, but again, we've heard stories of couples or husband killing wife for whatever reasons. But it's not just about relationship or marriage. It's just saying having a stable life. Does that actually mean you are happy? You could be stable and have all this like the what they say the villa for the dog. Now you could have all these things, the children, the family, but not happy in your job. So again, another thing we'll be looking at is what is happiness. So I'm going to put it across to us now to start. Emmanuel, do you want to start?
Okay, I think okay, let me begin by saying a very good afternoon or a very good day rather to everybody, because I understand that we are all coming from different globes across the globes. So I think the very first thing is to engage ourselves and ask some critical questions on what is stability in the very first place, right? And then when we have been able to ascertain if there is stability or if there are stabilities, that is as in stabilities in the plural or stability in the singular. And from there, we'll now talk about, do we have a singular idea of happiness, or we have different forms of happiness? I think in my own submission, I think stability or happiness is something that is very, very particular. People relate to happiness or stability from one point of view. And of course, this can also be influenced by cultural and everyday realities. Like from where I come from, for you to be stable or for you to be happy, people say, is he or she married? Does he have money? Does he have a good job? So all these are markers or indices that form as a bedrock through which we can investigate or relate to the whole issue of stability and happiness.
So what you're saying is that within a certain culture, being married, having a job should equal happiness. So essentially being stable should equal happiness. But the question is this really true? The fact that you have a job, have a family, does that really make you happy? Let me give you a chance to other people. Is there another person who wants to go? Philip, welcome. The topic, stability.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah. I'll just wait for others to contribute, then I can come in much later. Sorry. Okay. So that I can enter the flow. Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Tamara.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, hello.
It's a tricky topic. Stability, happiness. It's a very tricky topic. But in my opinion, I don't think that stability equals happiness. You might have all, but be happy. I think that happiness is very, very relative. Yeah?
I agree with you.
Okay.
Go on.
I agree with you that it's very relative because I feel like sometimes you might have all those things, like you might have the whole relationship, the marriage, what you had always wanted, and you're still not happy.
Exactly.
So I feel like you said it's relative. Like it has nothing to do with what you know that this thing they say human want is insatiable. You
Yep.
keep wanting and all that. You might think, oh, if I get this thing, it will make me happy. If I get married to this guy, it will make me happy. But at the end of the day, you're married to him and you're still not happy. So I feel like your happiness depends on you.
That's a very good point. So is it true, like Tamara is saying now that happiness depends on the person? It's Tioma. Are you still there?
How about Abiko? Abiko?
I think she's just observing. She will come in when she needs to.
Yeah, Abiko. Okay, Abiko is Isioma. Okay. Yeah, but sorry, let me just chip in something. To be stable and also to be happy. So these are two, like something like two stands: stability, to be stable, and also
Mother,
to
can you, I
be
think
happy.
that is it TV or radio on where you are? Can you kind of mute it?
Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, Afghans are fighting. Okay.
Go on.
So I think happiness is on one stand, and then stability is on another stand. But on a second thought, for one to be stable, does it necessarily translate to happiness? Or when somebody is happy, does it really translate to stability? I think we are understanding stability from the economic perspective, right?
Well,
That's popular because we have physical stability, mental stability. So are we talking of economic stability now, right?
okay.
Okay, I'm talking of economic stability.
In a broad sense. But what we're saying is we're talking the stability here, we're talking about what society prescribes in terms of get a job, get a family essentially, and you'll be happy. But is this really true? So which means that the notion that if you have all these things, that should mean that you are happy. I mean, that should mean that you really have the perfect life. But is this true?
Okay, but just as we are all saying that happiness is something that is also within and also manifests externally. You could also see people that let me use the word people that are soaked in poverty. Unquote, they are very soaked in poverty.
They're still happy.
They are happy. Yeah, they are very happy. But on the other hand, you can see people surrounded by riches and maybe they are suffering from. Okay, let me give, for example, let me use the place I work. So there's this place I work here in Belgium, and then one of the guys I work with, he's earning so much money, and he told me that he's not happy. And when I talked with him, he told me he has several houses that he can go to any place for summer vacation. But then he has a medical challenge. He cannot bend very well. So each time he wants to bend, he struggles. And then he now told me that he's very surprised that I'm always happy. I just joked. I said, well, since I have God, why would I not be happy? And I'm very sure at the end of the month, he can, because he works full time, he can earn 3 times more than my salary, but he doesn't really look happy. So you see? So I think happiness is something that comes from within. Of course, it manifests externally. It depends on how people relate to this idea of happiness.
But do you also think that happiness can come from the outside? There are things that can make you happy. Even though the happiness comes from inside, but there are external factors that could contribute to that happiness.
Yeah, sure. because I don't know whether it's like to Aristotle that said that human beings were products of, I think Emil Duncan, we're products of our society or culture. So external influences also help us to interpret what happiness means, because happiness is, to some extent, happiness could be socioculturally constructed. What happiness differs from persons and class. So it comes from between the inside and the outside interact in order to give us a kind of a well robust idea of happiness.
Okay. Do you want to come in now?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very interesting topic to whether whatever that means anyway, gives stability. It could mean different things for different. Marriage for some, I think convention, when you're married, even if you don't have even take care of the family, that's some form of stability. Job, other things that it's even when you are kids, that's when your marriage is. So it's like different.
Okay. If that is the case,
yeah.
Why, if we somehow, from what I've gathered so far, we all agree that happiness comes from within, not from without, even though some external factors can contribute to that. So why does most society prescribe marriage, family, a job, which is essentially stability, as the route to happiness? Does that make sense?
From what Ima was saying earlier, man being product of society, like whatever I want to, yeah. So it's also isolation. And so doing social, as long as you live within, like a sort of social expectations, even in terms of yourself and to the community, you understand?
Yeah.
That is not to say that societal paradigms are always justifiable practices or religion.
No.
But the society, yeah, but it always set standards by persons are expected to live and exist. It's also to say that as humans on our dynamism, these societal values also change with time. So you know that in this era of social media, a lot of people who get on what they view on digital platform. So you look at the model, Cubana burial, for instance, of his mom, kind of flair. It came even from established persons. People were criticizing Kanayo for some of I was making that went viral to show that that's by which people judge happiness, success, or stability, has transformed over time. So I think there's like a shift within the global ethical paradigm when we talk about who is happy or who is not happy.
That paradigm, is it created by the community, the society we live in? And if that is the case, on what yardstick do they measure happiness?
It depends on how we define. When we be in a global village, you know that how people tend to measure. I may decide what's happening in the US for it. That okay, as far as Beyonce, stuff. Nobody aspire to show a car. This, it's no a measure for people think that you need to have money. I think, and this is an opinion for me, that the work has been subsumed end product. So, like if you like the matter where the justifies the, so it doesn't matter. You like even people don't care do your hard work you have. What people care that you're driving a Lexus, you have a G-Wagon, you live in a, you're able to give 15 at harvest, irrespective of where you get it from, like that. So as long as you're able to perform functions, the society tends as being a fulfilled person, stable person, as long as
which means
your
that
wives.
which means that the society's position, well, most societies positions is that money essentially equals happiness. But again, we've seen different, some people have said, well, money doesn't bring happiness, but I'd rather cry in a Mercedes Benz than on a bicycle.
Yeah.
And somebody who said, I think J. Cole said, money doesn't bring happiness. That's true as hell, but happiness can't buy you this new SL. Talking about, do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we, at this point, when we say money doesn't bring happiness, but it will give you some form of happiness, whether you like it or not. And stability, if you like, even though Imam talked about stability as different forms of stability, but stability here is terms of family, job. So essentially, financial stability, if you like. But does that equal happiness? Because you've seen people who are married and for years and years and are very unhappy. But they are stable. Well, again, how do we measure what do we call unhappy? Do you see what I mean?
Okay. Oh, yeah, Mike, can go on.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. So over to you guys. I want more people to talk.
Yeah, just for our colleagues coming in now. Just for our colleagues coming in, the discussion is about stability and happiness. How may we understand stability? How may we understand happiness? Is this two ideas, being stable and also being happy, are they related or are they the same thing? I think that is what we are talking about. Can happiness also translate to stability or vice versa? Can we really talk about happiness? And depending from the different cultures or climate or country we are talking from, how do we come to the understanding of happiness and stability? I think that is what we are really talking about. Okay, Philip, wanted to say something? Okay.
Yeah, I think about what people to be happy. I wanted to just say that it's a bit of a complicated topic to delve in because different make different people happy. There are different strokes for. The thing is, some people are what makes us, and that's why it tends to set a certain standard of explanation, a certain standard determining what is which level may not necessarily, but like we said, if I'm from the topic, talk about stability is different for different people. If we look at states of comfort, basic comfort, that means to each individual. What makes you comfortable? In your room alone, comfortable?
No.
Happiness
no, Philip, can I come in there? Stability, there are certain measures of stability. For example, you have a nice roof over your head. You have a well-paying job, which means that at the end of the month, you have some savings. You have a good life, essentially, right? That would be described. That there is a general yardstick for that. That could easily be stable. But I'm saying that state of having that good life family, a nice house to live in, a nice job, or finance, money coming from businesses, investors, whatever. Now, I'm saying, does that state of stability, because there is a general yardstick for this. There are yardsticks to measure stability. Does that make sense? But again, happiness becomes a tricky one. There are yardsticks to measure stability. But the question, and they are generally accepted yardsticks, they are generally accepted measures, okay? So once all these yardsticks are met, we could easily say, any part of the world, say, you are stable, you have a good life, right? But now the issue is, does that stability now equal happiness? Does that mean that because you're stable, you are happy?
Anyway, if I look at the reality side, for instance,
yeah,
if you can still hear me, a lot
yeah,
of people who tend to measure up to this time, some of them, someone works from just as a car up to the third and jumps off the bridge, suicide, The that is to say that perhaps the with the of stability, the person. So look,
I think
the different, yeah.
When you talk about things like that, there are, of course, in situations like that, there are deeper issues.
Yeah, of course, that's it.
Yeah. So
of
there
course,
are, in fact, with things like that, there are deeper issues. But that's not, again, that becomes a whole different matter. But what I'm saying is, like, growing up, our parents would say, at a certain age, you should be married. That the ladies here, actually, we need to come to you. Now, at a certain age, your parents want you out of the house. Why you never married? Why you not married? What are you waiting for? Well, even the guys. And the truth of the matter is, our parents want us to be happy, right? Am I? Yeah. Now, if that is right, our parents want us to be happy. And so, which means that when they want you to get married at a certain age, they equate that life to happiness. But is that truly the case?
No.
We've met people. Go on. Is someone talking?
Yeah, I said it's not truly the case. You just gave a scenario whereby you said our parents at a certain age they expect you to get married and they feel good, like, oh yeah, my son, my daughter is married and stuff like that. The society whole thing. But it doesn't mean that is what they want. But what if that's not what you want, like you said? So for me, that does not equate happiness to me.
But our parents or our culture would say, well, like that's what we're talking. That's at least stability, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But we've seen situations where, within the African culture, other parts of the world, the Middle Eastern, Asian culture, where you have to get married and you have to have children. And if you choose not to, but you're going to have a horrible life. You can't be normal. If you say, do you see what I mean? If you say to people, I don't want to get married, or even when your parents say, people say, I don't want to get married, I don't feel like it's for me. They will go, well, you're not normal. Does that make sense? You can't be happy. How can you say you're happy? This is not life. You're not happy. Do you understand what I mean? Because so I think go back to what you talked about before about the paradigm shift in cultures, and that at different stages in the culture, there's a paradigm shift, and the idea of happiness does change. Do you understand what I
mean? Yeah, sure.
You could have all those things like society prescribes you to, and family expects you to, but you would be unhappy. Is that reason? Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can join at this point if you want to have anything to say.
Okay.
You have anything to say?
You said?
Yeah,
But
I have something to say.
Go on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I mean, sometimes our parents want us to get married, but it doesn't necessarily mean all of them. Some of them knows that being married doesn't guarantee happiness. Can you get me?
But we are working on the assumption that your parents want you to be happy. So if your parent wants you to be married, that means they want you to be happy.
Yes. Yeah, they want us to be happy, but in their own case, I see a father telling the son that I wouldn't want you to get married, but as it is, you have to fulfill nature, as they call it, nature call. Like every man has to get married, every woman has to get married. The son was actually the one telling me, this is what my father was telling me.
Yeah.
But if you find a good woman, get married. If you are okay, get married. But in my own case, because the father is no longer with the wife, with the guy's mother. So it's kind to advise the son. In my own case, it wasn't good, but I won't say mine. As mine is unfortunate, yours should also be unfortunate. So you might end up finding a good wife or a good woman and be happy. Unlike me, I wasn't happy in my own time.
So,
You get?
so yeah, go on.
So what I would say is that stability to be like having money, having the necessary stuff, like being wealthy while you are married and you are still not happy. But at least you have money that will control every other thing like food, clothing, shelter. At least you have what you have to deal with is the stuff that is making you people unhappy in the marriage. Maybe you have to visit a marriage counselor, but at least the call, as in the whole call, we all know that is a major problem in our society or in our life in this world is money. Let it be there. That you have money to visit the UK now, you have problem, even those without money, without stability, they are still unhappy in their marriage. What I'm trying to say is stability is also very, very, very important in marriage. There is money, even when you want to make kids that will come that will be happy. You don't want to make kids that you can't provide for your kids. That is like a major cost. But if you have
essentially, stability, marriage is part of stability. So which means that, but you can be alone and stable. Let's put that out there. Is that right?
Yeah.
You can be alone and stable. So we're talking about, like you were saying, you're talking about stability from the marriage perspective, and again, it's also society. That's what society expects. At a certain age, you should be married, and you should live like this. But what if that is, does that again, like we said, that's on the assumption that our family and our society wants us to be happy, or does that truly bring happiness? Tamara, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, you said, does that really bring happiness? And I said no.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
If you have a contrary opinion, I would want to hear it.
Yeah, but just a question before, the second part we are having about the networking. But just a question: can somebody be happy? Let's just be sincere. Can somebody be happy actually without money?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me rephrase. Let me rephrase it again.
You can't be happy without money.
No, let me reframe it again. Can somebody be happy surrounded, as in soaked in the waters of poverty, as in soaked, neck deep? You can't see the head, right? You can't even see the person's leg. The person will be surrounded by poverty. Anything the person touches or anything the person inscribes his or her name, you see poverty boldly written. The person walks in poverty, the person talks in poverty, the person eats in poverty. Can one actually be happy? I'm just very, very little bit curious.
I don't think so.
Well, you can't.
That's impossible, actually.
Exactly. I don't think so.
To a great, in as much as we say that money is not everything, and money doesn't bring happiness, it does contribute to certain. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But
You know,
but
if you
some people,
people who, especially if you go on social media, if you look at those who keep posting and say, who keep saying, "Oh, happiness is free," they have money, they've eaten. Or who say, "I can't keep myself," or allow me to. They have money.
Good.
no,
Yeah,
but still, some people
yes.
can be happy even within poverty. It all now depends on how you evaluate those people. You can evaluate those people as poor, but in their poor situation, they can be fulfilled and still be happy there.
You know what?
If they have love, if they have all they need, even without nothing, you see that the kids, they still love their parents.
Examples. Yes, sorry, Sila, can we have a concrete example? Because it seems as if we a little bit philosophical. Could we have a situation? Because I've heard several talks whereby a guy or a girl will say, "Oh, without money, I cannot even be what they call it." You ask somebody what is wrong with you, the person say, instead of saying malaria, the person will say monaria. Yeah, I've heard of that term, monaria.
Let me give a good example. I was reading something about Two-Face Idibia. He got kids with different women, right? But at the end of the day, he went back to marry his girlfriend. And he was saying, they asked him why. And he said something like, when he had nothing, this girl still looked at him as, this girl had hope in him. When he was wearing just one t-shirt and one jeans, when there was no money, he was taking bite, hustling here and there, drinking Gary and all the rest. This girl was looking at him as somebody that can make it. Even when things was not going well, this girl would be the one praying for him. When money even came, and this girl was, and he was living reckless life, this girl was the one always like there, still encouraging him. That he got married to a lawyer. He got married to, he had a child with a lawyer, somebody that graduated from one of the best universities in UK and stuff. But he was like, if this money is not there, will these people be able to find happiness in me? Would they even want to talk to me? Like this, my girl, that there was nothing.
Let's look at the flip side. That's a very good point.
But that world has gone now. We are talking about 15 or 20 years ago. We are talking of the now. That world.
No, Emmanuel, that's very unfair because there are still things like that happening. But the issue is, what you're missing is, at that point in time when the said Two-Face was poor and his current wife was with him, were they really happy? That's the question, though. They might have stuck together, right? Were they happy? That is the question.
Okay, so yeah, I say something at this point. I want to talk about money and the form of capital. So having money does not really mean that, and that's so if you have like work that's, so I'm not saying that that's not the point, but I'm saying that that you use may be yours. You may still happiness with of existence, and this is what you want to travel, buy your tickets, have somebody coming to pick you out. You live in a where yours all can have access to like the best of life and be like a capital which we can even in your daily forms of people may not be too bothered about the they may not have the anxiety of poverty and happiness now. So you may actually be poor without being poor. You may actually not have a cover to your name, but be able to live, that you aspire to, Whether that translates to happiness, be a different thing, to be honest. Yeah, because you may still be thinking, oh, if you're not the lifestyle, you still mine.
Would you remember, like, was it Bob Marley during an interview? He was asked in an interview that someone asked him, are you rich? He said, what do you mean rich? And he said to the interviewer, he said to the interviewer, what do you mean rich? And the interviewer said, well, do you have a lot of money? And he said, what's a lot of money to you? And the interviewer said, well, do you have, you know, a lot of houses and all this nice stuff and cars? And he said, does money and nice things and stuff make you rich? The guy said, well, yeah. And he said, well, that's not where my riches come from. I don't know who's seen this Bob Marley's interview. And he said, that's not my riches come from life. Does that make sense? So which means that in someone like Bob Marley, even in the state of poverty, he would be rich because he would feel genuine, true happiness. It takes us back to what we talked about before. Can you, like what Emmanuel asked, can you be poor in the ebbs of poverty and be happy? And I think it was Silva who said, yes, you can. The people who, because you know, they will be satisfied in themselves and their life and feel fulfilled. What you see as what you see as unstable, poor, they see as rich. So it's all, I think it's all very relative, I would say. But I think in all this conversation, we can conclude that stability does not equal happiness.
Very true.
Do we agree on that?
Yeah, sure.
Stability does not equal happiness, and maybe it's time that we start to break away from our parental expectations to live a certain life.
Yeah.
We should pursue what makes us happy. Is that right? That stability is good, great, yes, but personally, I think that happiness is ultimate. You don't have to be entirely rich to be happy, but just look for what makes you happy. Stability does not equal happiness. Strive to be stable, strive to have a good life, but also know that that does not give us happiness. Now, our next topic will be quite interesting. It will be, can you truly reasonably love more than one person? Can you truly and reasonably love more than one person? Now, for those who are joining us for the first time, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to like, and also to share.